All right, so welcome back to the Book Summary Podcast for another deep dive. And today we're going to be cracking open Atomic Habits by James Clear.
Ooh, excited.
I am very excited about this one.
Yeah,
This is a book that I think we can all learn something from. I mean,
absolutely.
who doesn't want better habits, right?
For sure. And I think this book is one of those ones that kind of just sticks with you.
Yeah.
Even if you just remember a couple of the key things from it, you can really apply those to
Absolutely.
so many different areas of your life. So,
Yeah, and that's what we're going to do today. We're going to be going beyond just a typical summary. We're going to be pulling out those gold nuggets, those actionable insights that you can put to work right away.
totally. It's not just about oh, this is a cool idea. It's okay, how do we actually implement this?
Yes.
How do we actually make this a part of our lives?
Make it happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, so get your notebooks ready. Get ready for a serious mindset shift because we're about to upgrade our habits.
Let's do it.
Okay, so before we jump into all the practical stuff, I have to share this story from the book.
Okay.
It is intense.
Yeah.
It kind of sets the stage for Clear's whole philosophy.
All right, I'm ready.
Okay, so picture this. James Clear, he's a high school athlete. He's up at bat during a baseball game.
Oh my God, this sounds scary.
It's about to get scary. Gets hit in the face with a baseball bat.
Oh no.
Directly in the face, like full-on impact.
Oh my God.
Brutal. We're talking broken nose, facial fractures, and get this detached eyeball.
What?
I know, it's crazy, right?
Okay.
They even put him in a medically induced coma.
Wow. That is intense. I mean, I know a lot of people who have had their, fair share of sports injuries, but that's next level.
Yeah, and thinking about it, it's just such a testament to the power of small incremental progress.
Right.
He basically had to relearn how to walk, talk. See, it was months and months of grueling physical therapy. But
Yeah.
what I find so inspiring is that he just focused on making those tiny improvements each and every day.
It's the ultimate example of what this book is all about, right?
Yes, exactly. That story is the foundation of Atomic Habits. It's not about these massive overnight transformations. It's about understanding that tiny actions repeated consistently over time can lead to massive results.
I love that. And it's I think so much more attainable for us,
Yes.
right? When we think about, oh, I want to completely change my life overnight, it can feel really overwhelming.
Yes.
But if we just focus on okay, what's one tiny thing I can do today to move me in the right direction?
Exactly.
That feels a lot less scary.
Yes, so much less pressure and so much more sustainable. And I think that's what I love about this book is that it gives you this framework, this kind of set of tools that you can use to actually build better habits.
Yeah, like a roadmap almost.
Yes, exactly. And that's where his 4 laws of behavior change come in.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of these.
Okay, so are you familiar with them? Have you?
I've read the book, but I'm excited to hear your take on them.
Okay, cool. Yeah, and honestly, I use these laws all the time, not just for, big life goals, but just for everyday things.
Yeah. That's awesome. I love that.
Yeah, so the first law is make it obvious.
Right.
And this one might seem simple, but, we often go through life on autopilot, totally unaware of the habits we've formed.
Oh my gosh, that's so true.
Right. Both the good and the bad and the bad. Clear, he suggests starting with what he calls a habits scorecard. Have you ever done this?
I have. It's so eye-opening.
It's you're shining a light on all those unconscious behaviors.
Yeah, it's basically an audit of your current habits. You write down everything you do from the moment you wake up to the moment you go to bed.
Yes.
And it can be a little scary to see what's actually going on.
It is. It's oh, wow, I really spend that much time scrolling on my phone.
Yeah, exactly. But then it's okay, now we have this awareness, we can actually start to make some changes.
Exactly. So then once you've kind of identified the habits you want to change, Clear introduces this strategy called implementation intentions.
Ooh, yes. I love this one.
Okay, tell me about it.
So basically, instead of just vaguely saying, I want to work out more, you get super specific. So you're I will go for a 20-minute run every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 7 a.m. in the park.
Yes. You're scheduling it in.
Exactly. You're linking the habit to a specific time and location. So it's you're not even giving yourself the option to
Just give it.
Yeah, it's already
It
decided.
takes the decision-making out of it.
Right, which is huge because so much of our mental energy is wasted on just making these tiny decisions throughout the day.
Oh my gosh, yes.
So if we can automate some of that, it frees up our brain power for other things.
Okay, so true. So that's make it obvious.
Yeah.
Now let's move on to the second law, which is make it attractive.
Okay.
And this one is all about tapping into that dopamine, that feel-good chemical
Yeah.
our brain releases when we do something pleasurable. And Clear has a couple really clever techniques for making desired habits more appealing.
I love this one because it's like, we're not robots, right?
Yeah.
We need to like actually enjoy the process.
Thus, I enjoy it. Yeah.
So this is where it gets fun.
Yes. Okay. So one of my favorites is habit stacking.
Oh, yes. Tell me about this.
Have you ever heard of this?
Yes, I have, but I want to hear your spin on it.
Okay. So basically, you're linking a new habit to an existing one. So let's say you want to start meditating every morning, but you always forget. You could habit stack it with something you already do without fail, like brushing your teeth.
Yes.
So after you brush your teeth, you meditate for 5 minutes.
I love that. And it just becomes like this automatic thing.
Exactly. And you're leveraging that existing habit's attractiveness to make the new habit more appealing.
Yeah, you're like piggybacking off of something that's already established.
Yeah, this is actually how I started flossing regularly.
Ooh, tell me about this.
I would always forget to floss, but then I started flossing right after I brushed my teeth. And now it's just like,
It's just part of the routine.
it's automatic. It's just what I do. And it's like you remove that need for willpower.
Right. Because you're not relying on yourself to like remember every single time.
Yeah, you're just like tapping into that existing routine.
That's like you're automating the behavior.
Yes, exactly. And that's what we want. We want those good habits to become automatic.
Totally. And speaking of automation, have you ever tried temptation bundling?
Ooh, temptation bundling is so good.
It's brilliant.
Okay, so this is where you're making a desired habit more appealing by pairing it with something you actually enjoy.
Okay.
So let's say you want to listen to an educational podcast, but you also love watching your favorite TV show. You only allow yourself to watch the TV show while listening to the podcast.
Wow, I love that. So you're like getting the reward, but you're also like
You're getting something productive done.
sneaking in something.
Yes, exactly. It's like you're outsmarting your brain.
Yeah, your brain is happy because it gets the TV show, and then you're happy because you're learning.
Win, 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 win. I love it.
Okay, so that's make it attractive. We've made it up. We've made it attractive now. Let's move on to the third law.
Okay, let's do it.
Make it easy. And this one is all about reducing friction. The easier a habit is to do, the more likely you are to actually do it.
Right, because we're all about like the path of least resistance.
Mhm.
Yes, we're human. And Clear, he has this fantastic idea called the 2-minute rule.
Oh my gosh, this is my favorite.
Have you used this one?
I use it all the time. It's so simple, but it's so effective.
Okay, tell everyone about it.
So the idea is to break down a new habit into a version that takes less than 2 minutes to complete. So if you want to start a daily writing habit, you don't have to commit to like writing a whole chapter.
Right.
Just commit to writing for 2 minutes.
It's like removing any excuse for not doing it.
Exactly. Even if you only write like one sentence, you've still taken action,
Yeah.
and that's what matters.
You're building momentum.
Yes, exactly. It's all about the momentum. Once you've started, it's often easier to keep going.
So if you want to go for a run, you put on your running shoes. If you want to meditate, you sit down and close your eyes. It's about taking that first tiny step.
I love that. And it's so much less intimidating, right?
Yes. So much less intimidating.
Like when we think about, I have to run 5 miles, it's like, ugh.
It feels impossible.
But if it's like, just put on my running shoes.
That feels easy.
That I can do.
Yes, exactly. And that's the whole point. Make it so easy that you can't not do it.
Yeah. And then once you're in motion, it's much easier to stay in motion.
Exactly. It's like that saying, objects at rest tend to stay at rest. Objects in motion tend to stay in motion.
That's a great analogy.
Right. And it's the same with habits.
Yeah.
The hardest part is just getting started.
Yeah. And this is something that I think we can apply to so many different areas of our lives.
Absolutely. Like procrastination, for example.
Oh.
If you can just get yourself to start working on that project, even for 5 minutes.
You've broken the inertia.
Exactly. And suddenly it doesn't feel so overwhelming.
Totally.
Okay, so we've got make it obvious,
Yeah.
make it attractive,
Mm.
make it easy. Now let's talk about the fourth and final law.
I'm ready.
Make it satisfying. And this one is crucial because our brains are wired to prioritize immediate rewards,
Yeah.
a lot of good habits. They've delayed gratification. So how do we bridge that gap?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Yeah.
Because we live in this world where like everything is instant gratification.
Yeah, right? So how do we make those good habits feel good in the moment?
Right.
And Clear suggests a few strategies like habit tracking, using visual cues, and even creating habit contracts with accountability partners.
Oh, I love habit tracking.
Habit tracking is so satisfying.
It is, whether you're marking off days on a calendar or using a fancy app, it just feels good to see that visual proof of your progress.
Yes, it's like you're giving yourself like a little gold star every time you do the thing.
Right. And it's so motivating because it's like, okay, I'm actually making progress.
It's like you're not just like hoping that you're making progress. You can see it.
You see it.
And it's like, okay, even if it's just a small win, it's still a win.
Yeah, and those small wins, they add up.
They do. They totally add up.
And they build momentum.
Okay, so we've covered the 4 laws of behavior change. Make it obvious. Make it attractive.
Yeah.
Make it easy and make it satisfying. And these are like the foundational building blocks for creating any new habit.
Yeah, like the essentials.
Yes, the essentials, but there's another layer to this whole habit building thing that Clear talks about, and this is where it gets really interesting. He talks about the importance of changing our identity.
Ooh. This is like next level habit change.
It is, and I think this is what sets this book apart from a lot of other books on habit change, because it's not just about changing what we do, it's about changing who we are.
Right, it's like going deeper.
Yes, exactly. So instead of saying, I want to lose weight, you would say, I am a healthy person who makes healthy choices.
Yes, I love that.
Instead of saying, I want to write a book, you would say, I'm a writer.
So powerful.
It's like embodying the identity of the person you want to be.
Yeah, and I think that makes it so much easier to actually stick to the habits.
Yes.
Because it's not just like this external thing that you're trying to force yourself to do. It's
Right.
like it's becoming a part of who you are.
Yes, it's aligned with your values and your beliefs. So this is a powerful shift in perspective, and it's one of the key takeaways from Atomic Habits. And, it makes me wonder, how do we actually start to change our identity? It seems like such a big concept.
It does seem really big, but Clear, he talks about this idea of voting for your future self.
What do you mean?
So every time you perform a habit, it's like casting a vote for the type of person you want to become.
Okay.
So if you eat a healthy meal, you're casting a vote for healthy person.
Okay.
If you skip the gym, you're casting a vote for couch potato.
It's like a real election.
Exactly. And the more votes you cast for a particular identity, the more likely it is to win.
That is such a brilliant way to frame it.
I know, I love this concept because it takes this like abstract idea of identity and makes it so concrete and actionable.
Yeah, it's like you're literally shaping your future self with every decision you make.
Totally. And it gives you a sense of agency, like you're in control.
Yes, you're not just like a victim of your habits. You're the architect of your own identity.
I love that.
Okay, so I'm starting to see how all these pieces fit together. We've got small changes, consistency, identity. But let's be real. Building new habits can be tough.
It can be.
Sometimes it feels like our old ingrained habits are just like dragging us back,
Yeah, it's like this constant battle.
It is, and it's not always about willpower or brute force. Clear actually argues that one of the best ways to break a bad habit is to make it impractical to do what he calls increasing friction.
Yes, I love this idea.
Okay, tell me about it.
So it's basically making the habit harder to do. So if you're trying to break the habit of like checking your phone first thing in the morning, you could leave your phone in another room overnight.
Oh, I like that.
Or if you're trying to reduce your social media use, you could log out of all your accounts and delete the apps from your phone.
Oh my gosh, this is so smart. Because you're not just relying on willpower, you're changing your environment.
Exactly. You're making it more difficult to engage in the bad habit.
This reminds me of how I finally broke my social media addiction.
Yeah.
I deleted all the apps from my phone.
Did it work?
It was a game changer.
Oh, that's awesome.
I know. And it wasn't easy at first, but it made it so much harder to mindlessly scroll. And I found myself like picking up a book instead or going for a walk. It was great.
Yeah, and that's the whole point, right? Like you're not just trying to resist the temptation all the time.
Yeah, you're like removing the temptation altogether.
Exactly. You're making it easier to make the good choice.
And I think that's what I love about this book is that it's not about like shaming yourself for having bad habits.
Right.
It's about understanding how habits work and then using that knowledge to your advantage.
Totally. It's like you're hacking your brain.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. And you're setting yourself up for success. And, speaking of success, I think it's time to move on to the next key concept from Atomic Habits,
Okay, I'm ready.
the Goldilocks rule. Have you heard of this one?
I have. It's a good one.
Okay, so for those who haven't heard of the Goldilocks rule, tell us what it's all about.
So the Goldilocks rule basically states that we're most motivated when we're working on tasks that are just outside our comfort zone. So they're challenging enough to be engaging,
Okay.
but they're not so difficult that we get discouraged.
It's about finding that sweet spot.
Exactly. It's about finding that sweet spot where we're pushing ourselves without feeling overwhelmed.
It's like if a task is too easy, we get bored. If it's too hard, we give up. But if it's just right, we enter this state of flow.
Yes, flow state.
Where we're fully engaged and like in the zone.
And that's when like the magic happens, right?
It is. It's like when you're working on a project and you just completely lose track of time.
Yeah, you're like so engrossed in it.
Yes, it's like the best feeling.
You look up and it's like 3 hours later.
I know. It's
right?
like, where did the time go?
Totally.
And I think the Goldilocks rule is so important for habit change because it reminds us that we need to challenge ourselves, but not too much.
Yeah, we need to find that balance.
Exactly. It's about like gradually expanding our comfort zone,
Right. It's like stretching a muscle.
Yes. And it's also about being patient with ourselves, like not expecting to be able to run a marathon on day one.
Yeah, we have to start with like a walk around the block
Exactly. And then gradually work our way up.
and celebrate those small wins along the way.
Yes. Celebrating those small wins is so important.
Totally. It's like giving ourselves like a little pat on the back.
It is. And it helps to keep us motivated.
It does.
All right. So I think we've covered a lot of ground here. We've talked about the power of small changes, the importance of identity, the influence of environment, and the Goldilocks rule. It's all connected.
Yeah, it's all coming together.
But I have a question for you. Clear talks about the importance of making habits satisfying. But what if the habit itself isn't inherently enjoyable?
That's a good question.
Like, how do we make those less than thrilling habits stick?
Right, because not all habits are going to be like super fun and exciting.
Exactly, like paying bills or cleaning the bathroom.
Yeah, but I think even those habits can become more satisfying if we focus on the rewards they bring. So instead of thinking about like, oh, I hate cleaning the bathroom,
Right.
you could think about like, okay, when my bathroom is clean, I feel so much more relaxed and at peace.
So it's about shifting our perspective.
Yes, exactly. It's about finding the good in the task.
I like that. And I think it's also about reminding ourselves why we're doing it in the first place.
Yeah, like what's the bigger goal that this habit is contributing to?
Exactly. So if you're trying to save money, you might not enjoy the act of putting money into your savings account.
Right.
But you can remind yourself that you're doing it so that you could eventually buy your dream home or travel the world or whatever it is that you're saving for.
Yeah, you're connecting it to something that's meaningful to you.
Exactly. And I think that's key for making any habit stick, even those less than thrilling ones.
Totally. And sometimes it might also help to like add in some immediate rewards.
Ooh, like what?
So for example, if you're trying to build the habit of reading every day, you could reward yourself with a cup of your favorite tea after you finish a chapter.
I love that.
It's like a little treat.
It is. And it makes the habit more enjoyable.
Yeah, and it reinforces the behavior.
Exactly.
Uh,
Okay, so we've talked about how to make those less than thrilling habits more enjoyable. But what about those really tough habits?
you know, the ones that require a lot of discipline.
Yes, like quitting smoking or going to the gym every day.
Yeah.
How do we make those stick?
Yeah, those are the ones where it's like willpower alone is not enough.
It's not enough.
We need some extra support.
And I think this is where Clear's idea of identity comes back in.
Oh, yeah. Tell me more about that.
So if you're trying to quit smoking, you might not focus on, like, I'm trying to quit smoking.
Right.
You would focus on, I am a non-smoker.
I love that it's like you're embodying the identity.
Exactly. And then your actions naturally follow because you're not just like trying to force yourself to do something you don't want to do.
Right.
You're aligning your actions with your identity.
And it becomes more about like who you are than what you do.
Yes, exactly.
Mhm.
And I think that's a really powerful shift in thinking. Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground in this first part of our deep dive into atomic habits. We've talked about the 4 laws of behavior change, the importance of identity, the influence of environment, the Goldilocks rule.
There's a lot to digest.
It is. But I think the key takeaway here is that lasting change doesn't happen overnight. It happens one small step at a time.
Yeah, and it's about being patient with ourselves.
Absolutely. And about celebrating those small wins along the way. And most importantly, it's about believing in our ability to change.
That's key.
It is. Because if we don't believe in ourselves, no one else will.
So true.
Okay, so I think that's a good place to wrap up this first part of our deep dive.
Okay.
But stay tuned for part 2, where we'll be diving even deeper into atomic habits and exploring some of the more advanced concepts from the book.
Exciting. Can't wait.
Me neither.
All right, so we're back for part 2 of our deep dive into atomic habits.
Yes, and last time we were talking about how our environment can really make or break our habits.
Yeah, it's crazy how much our surroundings influence our behavior.
It really is. And it made me think about something Claire says in the book about how we often try to change the wrong thing.
What do you mean by that?
Like we try to change our actions, but really we need to change the system that those actions are a part of.
Okay, I think I see what you're saying. So it's not enough to just like focus on individual habits in isolation?
Right, we need to look at the bigger picture.
We need to create a system that supports the habits we want.
Exactly. And that brings us to this idea of designing a system for success, which I think is so crucial for making lasting change.
Yeah, it's like having a blueprint for building the life you want.
Yes. And it takes the guesswork out of it. It's
Yeah.
like you're setting yourself up for success.
Totally, instead of just like hoping for the best.
Right. So, okay, I'm ready to start building my blueprint. What are the key elements of a system for success?
So Clear, he outlines a few key components, and the first one is identifying your core values.
Okay, so those are like our guiding principles, the things that are most important to us.
Exactly. So things like honesty, integrity, kindness, growth adventure, whatever resonates with you.
Yeah, it's like, what do we stand for?
Yeah, exactly. And once you've identified your core values, you can start setting goals that align with those values.
Okay, so it's about making sure that our actions are in alignment with who we are at our core.
Right. And then you can break those goals down into smaller, more manageable steps or habits that will lead you towards your desired outcome.
It's like creating a roadmap with clear milestones along the way.
Exactly. And finally, you need to create a system for tracking your progress and making adjustments as needed.
Okay, this is where those habit trackers and accountability partners come in handy.
They do. It's about creating a feedback loop that helps you stay on track.
I love this idea of designing a system for success. It's like we're taking control of our lives.
We are. It's empowering.
It is, and it's not about being perfect.
Yeah.
It's about having a plan and being willing to adjust it along the way.
Yeah, and it's about remembering that we're human.
We're going to mess up.
We're going to have setbacks.
But the important thing is to learn from those setbacks and get back on track.
And to be kind to ourselves.
Yes, self-compassion is key.
Totally. We're all works in progress.
And speaking of works in progress, I think we've made some amazing progress in this deep dive so far.
We've covered a lot of ground.
We have, and I'm feeling really inspired to start applying these principles to my own life.
Me too. And I think that's the beauty of this book. It's not just about theory, it's about action.
It is. It's about taking those insights and actually using them to create positive change.
And I think that's something we can all do no matter where we are in our habit journey.
Absolutely. So if you're watching this and you're feeling inspired, we encourage you to take action today.
Even if it's just one small step.
It all starts with that first step.
And remember those small steps, they add up over time?
They do. They create massive results.
So what's one small habit change you can make today?
Yeah, think about it and let us know in the comments.
We'd love to hear from you. Welcome back to our deep dive on atomic habits. We're wrapping up this awesome exploration of James Clear's work, and I'm excited to tie everything together.
I know, me too. And before we get started, I want to remind everyone to hit that subscribe button and join the Books Summary Podcast community. We're dropping new deep dives every week, so you don't want to miss out.
Yes, and if you're enjoying this deep dive on atomic habits, give us a thumbs up and let us know in the comments what your biggest takeaway has been so far.
All right, so last time we were talking about designing a system for success. And I think that's such a powerful concept because it's like we're creating this roadmap for our habits.
Totally. It's like we're not just leaving things to chance anymore. We're being intentional about the changes we want to make.
Right, and we're setting ourselves up for success by creating this environment that supports our goals.
Exactly. And I think one of the key things that Clear emphasizes is the importance of feedback. We need to be able to track our progress and make adjustments along the way.
Ah, yes, the feedback loop. It's like having a coach in our corner who's constantly giving us insights and helping us refine our technique.
Totally. It's like we're not just setting these habits and forgetting about them. We're actively engaged in the process of monitoring and improving them.
So, okay, how do we actually create this feedback loop? What are some practical tools or strategies we can use?
Well, habit trackers are awesome, like we talked about before. Whether it's a simple calendar or a fancy app, it just feels good to see that visual representation of your progress.
It's so satisfying to see those streaks building up.
It is, right? And
Wow.
it's like you're giving yourself that little dopamine hit every time you mark off a day.
I know, it's like a little reward for our brains.
Exactly. And another thing that can be really helpful is having an accountability partner.
Ooh, yes. Tell me about this.
So this is like someone you can check in with regularly, who can support you and hold you accountable to your goals.
It's like having a cheerleader in your corner.
Totally. And it could be a friend, a family member, a coach, a therapist, anyone who you trust and who's invested in your success.
And I think having that external support can be so helpful, especially when we're trying to break those really tough habits.
It can be. It's like having someone to lean on when things get hard.
And to celebrate those wins with, too.
Yes, celebrating is so important. We need to acknowledge our progress and give ourselves credit for the effort we're putting in.
Absolutely. And it's not just about celebrating the big wins. It's about celebrating those small victories along the way.
Those small wins, they build momentum and they keep us motivated.
Okay, so we've talked about the importance of feedback and accountability,
Hmm.
but I think there's one more key element to designing a system for success, and that's reflection.
Ah, yes. Reflection is so crucial. It's like taking the time to step back and look at the bigger picture.
So instead of just going through the motions, we're being mindful about our habits and why we're doing them.
Exactly. And we're asking ourselves those important questions like, what's working? What's not working? What adjustments can I make?
It's like we're becoming scientists of our own habits.
Yeah. I love that analogy. We're experimenting, we're gathering data, and we're using that information to refine our approach.
And the more we reflect, the more we learn about ourselves and what works best for us.
Totally. And it's a continuous process. It's not like we just reflect once and we're done.
Right. It's about making reflection a regular part of our routine.
Yeah, maybe it's like journaling every night or having a weekly check-in with yourself, whatever works for you.
And as we reflect, we can start to identify patterns and trends in our behavior.
And those patterns, they can give us valuable insights into our habits and how to optimize them.
It's like we're uncovering the secrets of our own minds.
I know, it's so fascinating. And as we wrap up this deep dive into atomic habits, I think it's important to remember that this is a journey, not a destination,
Ooh, that's a good one.
right? We're always going to be evolving and growing, and our habits are going to evolve and grow with us.
So it's not about achieving some sort of perfect state of habit nirvana.
No, it's about embracing the process of continuous improvement.
It's about becoming the best version of ourselves, one small habit at a time.
And it's about remembering that we have the power to create the life we want.
I love that, and that is the power of atomic habits.
It is. And I want to thank everyone for joining us on this journey into the world of atomic habits.
Yes, thank you so much for listening, and we hope you found this deep dive helpful and inspiring.
And remember, even the smallest changes can make a big difference.
So start small, stay consistent, and trust the process.
And until next time, keep those atomic habits rolling.
We'll see you soon.